Paramount Plus purged itself of four pretty high profile shows last week, and I think that might actually be good news for a second season of Wolfpack. The victims of the purge included the first Star Trek series that was designed to make the universe accessible to really young audiences, and a new wokish nostalgia effort aimed squarely at late boomers, Generation X, and millennials who all grew up watching Grease and Grease 2 on cable or DVD. Those were just part of the purge. They also removed about a dozen series from the streaming platform earlier this year, including their much hyped reboot of The Twilight Zone from a few years ago and that real world reboot they did at the launch of Paramount Plus. Just prior to Purge Night, we saw them renew the only show on the platform that I would say is even close to Wolfpack in tone, potential audience, and demographics. I reviewed the first episodes of School Spirits on this channel, and I found it kind of dull and a little all over the place as far as what the series is trying to be. But at the time of this recording, with the season finale of Wolfpack coming on Thursday, Paramount isn't something I can see keeping unless I find a show I really like and can review every week. Unfortunately, School Spirits isn't that show.
I need to know what happened. Would you like to tell us a little about yourself?
How'd you die?
It's fine. It's not terrible, but it's also not great. School Spirits is the kind of thing you throw on in the background while you're playing games on the phone. You only have to look up if they advance the mystery plot or something ghosty happens.
It all just resets.
The basic premise is this. Maddie died at school. She then woke up and found out that her alma mater is populated by a lot of kids and at least one teacher who died in the school over the several decades that the building has existed. I will resist the urge to compare it to another of my favorite Paramount shows, which is the comedy Ghost, but comparisons are obvious. I love this premise. You could mine this all day for the absurdity of it. You could do the culture clash thing of teens who died as kids in the 80s dealing with current teens and juxtapose it with teens in the 50s and show that while the technology and the pace of life might change, the problems are still the same and the solutions still work. Or you could do what they actually did and make it into a maudlin moat fest, with Maddie obsessed with finding her killer and the only person who can see her, this incredibly miserable guy who has complicated feelings about Maddie. And while I didn't enjoy it or hear much on my socials, other platforms, or in the media about it, Paramount claims School Spirits was a big driver of audience interaction.
School Spirits has captivated audiences with its gripping storyline, engaging characters, and the enigmatic world of high school life. And we are thrilled to bring a second season to this loyal fan base across Paramount Plus.
School Spirits developed such a passionate and engaged fan base over the course of its first season, marking one of our most popular new young adult series to date.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that's not why?
Again, if any of that's true, I completely missed it. If you're in that hidden School Spirits fandom, please share some links for me in the comments, because I hate being out of the loop on such an apparent pop culture phenomenon. Yes, I am skeptical about the stated reasons for the renewal of School Spirits. I believe we got the go-ahead for more because it's just a cheap show to produce. It mostly all takes place inside at one location. There are limited special effects.
Did anybody else just feel that?
Don't move, Janet. No, no.
I don't want to die.
They literally just do some lighting and split screen effects. So it's very physically contained with limited special effects, meaning School Spirits is a relatively cheap show to produce. It also doesn't come with any really big names attached. I'm not downing Peyton. She is talented and well-liked in the business, but she is not a huge name when it comes to the budget. Of course, when I say that School Spirits is cheaper, I mean it's cheaper in comparison to Wolfpack. Wolfpack does multiple locations in every episode. The CGI and special effects budget is ridiculous for a streaming show, and they have Sarah Michelle Gellar, who does not come cheap, even though they bumped up her salary by making her work as a producer too. I think School Spirits got the early renewal nod because it was easy to do. It's a cheap show and they can delay production indefinitely until all the current labor disputes are done. Wolfpack comes with a lot of moving parts, a ton of locations, heavy FX in every episode, a limited writer's room, which just happens to be one of the major complaints of the Writers Guild of America. But that small writer's room is also one of the only reasons they can afford to do the show. Wolfpack is a tough budget to balance, and the outcome of the strike and what those other labor contracts will do to address streaming residuals for actors and others have a direct and heavy impact on the bottom line for Wolfpack. We could see a scenario where the different unions get their demands and it prices Wolfpack right out of the marketplace. But I am still optimistic for a Wolfpack renewal, mainly because the show survived the Purge week. Wolfpack is the only unknown left on the Paramount Global slate at this point. And that says to me that it could still go either way. But it also tells me that the powers that be don't really want to cancel Wolfpack if they can afford to keep it.